Today we will discuss hardware features of 8051. Under the hardware features, we are going to discuss how the 8051 microcontroller interfaces with the external environment. So for this, we have five things. The first one is parallel ports in 8051, then external memory interfacing, and timers, interrupts, and serial ports. Let us go one by one. So first, coming to the parallel ports, there are four parallel ports in 8051 microcontroller: port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. And these four parallel ports are bidirectional and programmed for parallel I/O. That means at a time 8 bits can be read or written to the I/O devices from the microcontroller. The user can access all the ports using their addresses mapped in the special function registers. And we have seen that port 0 has address 80, port 1 has 90, port 2 A0, and port 3 is B0. They can also be accessed by their bit addresses. Port 0, the address is 80, and there are 8 pins P0.0 to P0.7, and they are numbered from 81 to 87. Similarly, port 1 has the address 90 byte address, and the bit addresses for the 8 pins from P1.0 to P1.7 are from 90 to 97 respectively. And for port 2, the byte address is A0, and port 2.0 pin address is A0, port 2.1 pin address is A1, and so on. Port 2.7 pin address is A7. Similarly, port 3, the byte address is B0, and the 8 pins from P3.0 to P3.7 has the addresses from B0 to B7. Next, coming to the second hardware feature, the external memory interfacing. So already from the memory organization, we have learned that 8051 microcontroller has program memory and data memory, and the external program memory or the data memory size is 64 kilobytes, and it can be accessed by a 16-bit address. Port 0 and port 2 are used for generating the addresses, and they are used as a time multiplexed data or address buses. So first, coming to the ROM memory. ROM memory is used for storing the program, and the external ROM memory size is 64 KB. So in order to have access to one of the bytes, we need to give the 16-bit address. The 16-bit address is sent from the ports P0 and P2, and these ports can be either carrying the address or data. That's why they are. So if the address is sent to say that it contains address, the ALE signal is generated by the microcontroller. Otherwise, it contains the data. And to differentiate between the internal memory access and the external memory access, the EA signal is used. EA stands for external access. When it is 0, we are going to have access to the external memory. When it is 1, we access the internal memory. And on the ROM, we need to settle the read operation, which is known as operation enable. The operation enable signal is given by the program storage enable from the microcontroller 8051. So this is how the 8051 interacts with the ROM memory. First, it places the address on the ports P0 and P2. Then it is going to give the ALE signal. Once the particular byte is recognized on the ROM memory, then it is going to send the read operation by sending PSEN signal, so that the particular byte is going to be read, transferred from from the external ROM memory to the microcontroller. Whereas the RAM memory is used for storing the data. It contains both the read operation and write operation. Here the read operation is known as operation enable OE signal, and the write operation given by WE write enable. So as usual, first the address is sent via the ports P0 and P2, and then ALE is sent, and after that the P3 port is used to generate the operation enable and write P3.6 and P3.7. The last two pins are used for generating the read and write signals for the RAM memory. So this is how the microcontroller interacts with the external RAM or ROM memories. And coming to the third hardware feature, we talk about the timers. Already we have known that there are two 16-bit timers, and these two timers are accessible through the special function registers. They can be initialized, run, read, and controlled by these registers. And the timers have three functions in general. First one is producing a delay for a definite time and then issuing an interrupt request. The second one is counting the transmission on an external pin, and the third one is generating the baud rates for the serial ports. And there are two registers associated with the timers. One is the T mode, timer mode register, and the other one is TCON, the timer control register. So coming to the format of the T mode, it is an 8-bit register. The first 4 bits are used for the timer 0 and the last 4 bits are used for timer 1. And for each timer, the 2 bits are M0, M1 tells what is the mode of the operation for the timer, and the CRT tells whether it is used as a counter or timer, and the gate signal tells when the input is going to be recognized. Then the counter, the difference between counter and the timer is, so both are going to perform the counting operation only. If the counting is performed based on the internal signal, it will be called as a timer, and if the counting is performed by an external clock pulse, then it will be called as a counter. So coming to the modes of operation, each timer can be individually programmed. So there are 4 modes of operation based on M0 and M1. 0 stands for mode 0, 0 1 1 2 3. So mode 0, it is used as a 13-bit timer, and in mode 1 it will be used as a 16-bit timer, and in mode 3 it will be an 8-bit add counter. And coming to the mode 4, it will be used as a timer 1 control operation. And coming to the timer control register, so here we are provided with 8 bits. The first bits we are going to use for interrupt control, and the last 4 bits are associated with the timers. So TR0 and TR1 tells whether the timer has reached its count or not, and TF0 and TF1 tells the overflow conditions for timer 0 and timer 1. And the first 4 bits IT0 is for interrupt 0 and interrupt enable 0, interrupt 1 and interrupt enable 1. So this we can understand from the interrupts concept. So the fourth one is 8051 interrupts, and there are 5 sources of interrupts for 8051 controller. So when timer 0 overflow occurs, when timer 1 overflow occurs, on receiving or transmission of serial character, and the external hardware interrupt 0 and external hardware interrupt 1. So as from the microprocessor 8086, here also the interrupt service routines are predefined and the vector addresses are given as follows. The external interrupt 0 has that flag value IE0, and timer 0 has TF0, external interrupt 1 has IE1, timer 1 has TF1, and serial interrupt is enabled or disabled by receive interrupt or transmit interrupt. The interrupt vectors associated for the corresponding routines are 0003H for interrupt 0, and timer 0 it is 000BH, timer external interrupt 1 it is 0013H, for timer 1 the address is 001BH, and for the serial interrupt it is 0023H. So this is the format of there are the 2 registers, interrupt enable and interrupt priority. So interrupt enable is going to tell whether the interrupts are enabled or disabled. So here the first 5 flags tells about whether the 5 interrupts are enabled or disabled, and in order to allow or disallow all the interrupts, the most significant bit E7 is used, which is EA, enable all or disable all. And interrupt priorities, we can set the priorities for these interrupts by using the 5 flags, and the remaining 2 are not used. So now coming to the last hardware feature, the 8051 also allows for full duplex bidirectional serial data transmission, and there are 4 modes of operation for these serial operations. and there are two registers associated with this. One is SCON and other serial control register, and another one is serial buffer register. Serial buffer register is an 8-bit register, has the address 99H, and a serial control register has the address 98H. The bits of serial control registers are defined like this. The first bit SM0, the most significant bit, is for serial port mode bit 0, and SM1 is for serial port mode bit 1. SM2, it uses the multiprocessor communication is enabled or disabled, and the next one is receive enable. Then TB8 and RB8 are for transmit bit 8 and receive bit 8, and T1 is for transmit flag, and R1 is for receive flag. And that's all about the hardwaring features of 8051, and in the next class we'll have a discussion about the interfacing examples. Thank you.